only being paid. All I'm going to do is give them a big smile later on. That's okay, here we go. 8 minutes. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Artemis Fowl, the beginning, middle, and end, starring Sean as Artemis Fowl.
Good afternoon, Artemis.
And Courtney as Elf Police Captain Holly Short.
You humans destroyed the planet, and you stink.
Did you two sign the contract? Oh, no, okay. We need to make sure you're fine with being up here for legal reasons. Just answer yes or no. Are you okay with photography?
Yes?
Yeah.
Reading long words?
Yes.
Being shot? With blanks?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. They're not blanks. I take that as a yes. There was once a very smart Irish boy called Artemis Fowl.
The square root of pi is 1.777245. The diameter of Pluto is 1,400 miles, and the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie is by far the best one.
He is smart. But Artemis did not use his genius for good. In fact, he turned to crime. Book 1, Artemis Fowl.
Sit down.
Me?
No, that's what I said to the waiter.
The waiter ended up being a secret contact who led him to the ferry, who gave away the secrets of the Fairy Holy Book, which led Artemis directly to me.
Butler, my bodyguard, helped me to capture Holly. He could kill you in 100 different ways, you know. I'm sure one would be quite sufficient.
I was in the middle of a secret ritual to regain my powers with an acorn under an ancient oak tree, which was private, by the way. And that's when Artemis kidnaps me, typical human.
And I demanded ransom of 1 metric ton of 24-karat gold.
In an attempt to rescue me, my superiors at Left Recon, Commander Foley and Commander Ruth, recruited the infamous criminal dwarf Mulchdiggums.
This farting fiend tumbled into my home with the power of his own flatulence.
Which I will now demonstrate. Stay back, humans.
I think we can skip that. But they still ended up having to pay the ransom.
And Holly had to grant me a wish.
I got your mother's sanity back after her nervous breakdown.
It's almost as if you were doing something good.
I was not. How dare you?
Thank you is still hard for us. Book 2, the Arctic Incident.
I was at boarding school in Ireland when I received an urgent message from my father in Russia.
He'd been kidnapped by the Russian mafia. Artemis had to rush to his rescue, but was stopped short.
Stop short, get it? By Holly Short.
This is why Artemis is not allowed to tell jokes, and you should know better, amateurs.
Holly thought I was supplying contraband to a goblin smuggling ring, but Butler and I had found the real culprit, the evil pixie Opal Kobai.
Book 3, the Eternity Code. She's growing in confidence with every book.
In my spare time, I created a supercomputer from borrowed fairy technology.
Borrowed? That's a nice word for it.
Which I called the City Cube. However, I can't tell you much more because I can't seem to remember.
Artemis agreed to have his memory wiped of the entire incident. He was ambushed by a double-crosser named John Spiro, who stole the sea cube and killed Butler.
But then Artemis revived him with the help of my fairy healing magic. It was all very dramatic and well written.
Oh, quite that. And Artemis promised never to sell fairy technology again.
You can buy the cubes on eBay.
Or the Opal Deception. So, back to the villainess Opal Cowboy. She faked a coma inside an asylum to avoid going to prison, and then managed to escape, replacing herself with an identical clone.
She lured me and Commander Root into a tunnel, and then she did something. I can't tell you about it because it's a spoiler, but it was bad and I was blamed.
Don't forget she also launched a bio-bomb at me.
Once again, I rescued you, but you didn't know who I was because of the mind wipe in book 3.
What mind wipe? Oh my goodness, are you a fairy?
Opal then captured Holly and Artemis and threw them into a troll-infested abandoned theme park.
After a very close call, we were rescued by Mulch and Butler.
Artemis realized that the fairies were the only friends he'd ever had, and finally learned to say,
Thank you.
Book 5, The Lost Colony.
So Butler and I were in Barcelona, Spain, waiting for a demon to arrive from Limbo. Being one of the few people in the world able to predict demon materialization, I was ready for one when it popped up in a Sicilian opera house. Unfortunately, I was not the only one who could see him, and the demon was abducted by a girl-child genius, if you can believe such a thing exists.
We had to track down the missing demon and rescue him before his entire colony was destroyed on the journey back to Earth.
Luckily, they succeeded, so I could move on to book 6. Book 6! The Time Paradox.
At age 14, I was enjoying educating my younger twin brothers in the more important things in life.
Like summoning a waiter at a French restaurant. Couldn't you teach them something more important?
Hey, I was just a kid. I had barely finished building my first nuclear reactor. But things got complicated when my mother contracted spelltrophy, a fairy disease spread by the use of magic.
The only thing to do was travel back in time to find a cure in the brain of an extinct lemur that wasn't extinct in the past.
But when Artemis went back to bring the lemur to the present, he ended up having to save Holly, who was captured by his younger self when he bumped into his old enemy, Opal Cowboy, who was not old, of course, but actually younger. Young Opal escaped into the future and cast a spell on Artemis's mother. Confused? I am, and I wrote it.
All of this affected the younger Artemis's mind, planting a fascination with fairies that would set the events of the future in motion.
I created a circular timeline, or a time paradox. Wow, whoever wrote this is extremely clever and possibly irritatingly handsome.
Book 7, The Atlantis Complex.
I was on a glacier in Iceland unveiling the ice cube, my invention to stop global warming.
And that's when his complex revealed itself to Holly and Foley. The Atlantis Complex, a psychological fairy disease with symptoms including OCD, paranoia, and split personality disorder. Poor Artemis.
He accused Foley of trying to steal his invention and sent Butler to Mexico on a fake mission.
I couldn't trust anyone, and when our meeting was interrupted by an attack from a space satellite, I realized I really retreated into myself, releasing my alter ego.
Orion, who was the opposite of Artemis, a lovable, goofy, affectionate romantic who wrote love poems to Holly and had impeccable manners.
I almost missed that guy.
In spite of having 2 personalities, I managed to save the city of Atlantis and everyone in it. And do I get a thank you? No, I don't.
Book 8, The Last Guardian.
My nemesis Opal is back, and she has a devious plan that is putting the whole world, and more importantly my home and family, in peril. Her plan is to...
Hold on there, Artemis. We're not going to give the last book away. I need to boost book sales. To find out what happens to these guys, you'll have to read the book. A big hand, everybody, for our star.